If one is a human, then one needs to know what food is suitable for us and what food is not suitable for us. Food which isn't suitable for us, which doesn't suit us, should be avoided. And we have to especially avoid things which are poisonous. Some poisons can even kill if they're inhaled. Some can kill just if we touch them. So one has to understand regarding food, because we depend on food for our life, we need to understand what type of food we need to avoid. And we also need to understand what type of food is good for us to eat, what type of food suits us. And it's similar with the mind. We need to know what is suitable and what isn't. What is suitable are good practices by way of body, speech, and mind. And what isn't are the opposite, unsuitable deeds of body, speech, and mind. So when regarding food, one can't distinguish between what is good for us and what isn't, then we eat the wrong food. That can happen. So the sense pleasures that we can enjoy are full of good tastes, but these are enough to kill one. So if one doesn't if one thinks this is the only life one has, and we might as well enjoy as much as we can in this life, when one looks at things like this and just indulges in pleasures that lead to our death, then this involvement in sense pleasures ruins one's life. And this is quite common. And in the end, we lose our human life. When we do bad results, only if good is done will good result. The good and bad we do in our life creates our life. The karma that we do, both good and bad, brings about the results we experience. So just like bad food is that which does not suit us, which can harm us, so too bad deeds, misdeeds by body, speech, and mind are things that bring us bad results. And on the other hand, what helps us, what brings us good results, is refined, cultivated physical and verbal behavior, good mentality. So just like with food, one needs the basic understanding that eating what suits us makes us healthy and helps us live a longer life, a better life. So too, we need to know that good deeds are good for us. And when one has this basic knowledge, then one will do good things by way of body, speech, and mind. So the good and bad we do is what creates our lives. There is no other creator. We have to have this basic understanding. For everyone, this understanding is like a junction from which other roads break off, diverge. This understanding is called in Pali, Kamma Sakata Samadeti. This is the understanding that when we do bad, bad things result. When we do good, good results. What I do is my own true property. This good and bad that I do is what makes my life. So this is very important knowledge to have. And in Pali, this is called Kamma Sakata Samadeti, the right view of Kamma as one's own property. From this understanding, there are roads which branch off. These are called punya. Punya, which can take one to the human world or the Deva world. Then there is punya, which can take one to the Brahma world, and also punya, which can take one to the true peace of no new lifetimes. Punya means something which purifies one's existence. It's also called kusala, but the literal meaning of punya is that which purifies and cleanses one's existence, one's life. Whereas the literal meaning of kusala is that which is free of fault, blameless. So if something is pure and clean, then it's good. If something is free of fault and blameless, then one's happiness and peace is sure to follow. So these two names are different, but the meaning is the same. So among these three kinds of punya, there is dana punya. That is the act of dana which purifies and cleanses one. So dana, giving, is giving something that one has, that one owns, to another person or persons. And that can be done as a way of paying respects, honoring the person, or it can also be done because one wants the other person's needs to be fulfilled. One doesn't want them to be lacking what they need. So in this way one gives to another what they need. And the result is the recipient, the person receiving the gift, becomes happy. So what we do this for is for the recipient of the gift to be happy. And in this way, we are free of selfish lobha, greed. And being free of this selfishness, we're looking for the other person's happiness, not our own. So being free of this selfish greed when we give, this is called punya. It's pure and clean. So when one gives things to another, one wants that other person to be well, that one wants their welfare. One wants them to be good. And so one is free of dosa, anger, when one gives. One has a kind attitude towards the recipient. So being free of anger when we give, this is also punya. This is pure and clean. One who possesses this type of punya, one who gives in this way, develops other qualities too. They follow automatically. Patience. One is able to be patient with others and to forgive, to sacrifice one's own benefit and to do what is better for those around one. All these qualities just line up in one's mind based on doing dana that is free of greed and anger. And one also comes to feel the desire to remove the suffering that other people have. whether one can do so or not, one really feels compassion. One wants to remove others' suffering. And because of this feeling, then one does what one can to help others by way of giving or service. So in this way, one has metta, loving kindness, and thus is free of the form of anger that is expressed in hatred. And having compassion for others, one is free of the form of dosa that is expressed as cruelty. So one becomes free of these two forms of dosa. And being free of dosa or anger, this is pure giving, punya, pure and clean. So this punya is clean partly because it is free of greed and anger, and also because it contains loving kindness and compassion, metta and karuna. So this is clean dana. So what should be our objective in doing dana? When we do dana, we should have the understanding that that good deeds bring good results. So when we have this understanding, knowledge is also involved in our dana. We shouldn't have any selfish aim. We shouldn't just want more lifetimes or better lifetimes for ourselves. Being free of so there are kind of three levels. One can do dana that is free of greed and anger. On top of that, one can do dana that contains loving kindness and compassion, metta and karuna. And on top of that, one can do dana with knowledge. And the best of these three types is to do dana that has the aim of realizing the happiness of no new lifetime. This is the highest thing to aim for when we do dana. Although the basic components of all these forms of dana are the same, the Buddha said to do the best quality. And one who does this type of high quality, pure dana, will automatically undertake the punya called sila punya. This will automatically come about. Kamma sakata samadeti, or the right view of kamma as our own property, is the basic path. And starting from this path, when we do the good deed of dana kusala, it becomes dana punya. It becomes this dana that purifies one. And when one gets the good results of this, one avoids then misdeeds and coarse behavior, coarse speech. So this dana, the purifying deed of dana punya, opens the road for sila, for morality, for the purifying deed of morality, sila punya. So one doing this, one is free of gross, disgusting behavior and physical behavior and speech. So one's acts and one's speech become free of blame, and this makes one's basic life peaceful. By doing dana, we don't feel inferior. It gives the result that we have enough in our lives of the basic needs, so we don't feel small because of not having good things, not having enough. And sila, morality, is what gives us a human life or a deva life. if one is now a human being and one has enough to eat and drink, enough to wear, place to live, and so on, it is because of having done dana in the past that we have these material possessions. And it is because of having done sila in the past that we are now human. So because the past was good, the present is good. The basis for these good conditions that we have is dana punya, the purifying deed of dana, and sila punya, the purifying deed of morality. So people who can reflect in an ordinary way are likely to think, is there something better than this? There probably is something better than this. And thinking like this, people have a desire to get something better. So they search for a method. And they have the desire to make their lives even better than the way they are. So thinking about it, dana and sila, generosity and morality, only involve controlling our physical and verbal behavior, our body and speech. But mental control is not involved, and therefore the mind is not peaceful. So when there's no end to the greed that can arise when we meet up with something enticing, something likable. There's no end to the frustration and anger and so on when we meet up with something that is dislikable. There's the scattered mind, and then there's regret and remorse over things not done or things that were done. There's wavering, not being able to decide, not knowing. So for most people, these occur from the very moment we wake up, in one form or another. And one can draw the conclusion that this is because one hasn't gotten a method for quieting the mind. Samatha is a method for quieting the mind. It said, Pachanika dhamme sametiti samatha. So the literal meaning of samatha is something which quells, quiets the opposing factors, which are called pachanika dhamma. The pachanika dhamma here are the factors that oppose the clean mind, the pure mind. Factors like lobha, dosa, moha. So samatha is that which can quell these opposing factors, the factors which oppose the clean mind. And the Buddha taught samatha. He taught ordinary samatha, and he also taught how to observe the arising object with effort, with steadfast mindfulness, and with collectedness of mind, samadhi. This is also samatha. And if this happens second after second, then not even in the mind will there occur any low, base thoughts of killing or stealing, harming, committing adultery. No, there will be no thought of lying. There will be no lack of understanding about what is beneficial and what isn't, about what is suitable and what isn't. So in every noting that one makes with virya, sati and samadhi, samatha is happening. And the opposing factors, the factors which oppose the clean mind, the pachanika dhammas, are being quelled. They're being quieted. So the mind is then free of these. It's pure and clean. And this is called bhavana punya, the purifying deed of bhavana. And when our bhavana punya has good momentum, then defilements don't enter the mind at all, and the kilesas are far away, far from arising. When this observation, our noting, is happening, then the opposing factors, the panchanika dhammas, are being suppressed. They're not being eliminated, but they are suppressed. With samatha, ordinary samatha, that is developing concentration on a single unchanging object. This is simply for gaining worldly absorptions, which result in going to the Brahma worlds. So with that objective, one makes the mind fall again and again on this single unchanging object. And one gains first jhana or second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So one gains the jhanas. And if one has these until near the time of one's death, one will then go to the Brahma world, be reborn there. So when we develop this when we develop this jhana, then the obstacles to concentration are calmed. And the mind is clean while we are practicing. And being born in the Brahma world too, in the Brahma world the mind is clean and good. But, so one sees this is good work. One sees this is good. But this, the jhana that one has, worldly jhanas, do not know nama and rupa. They don't have the knowledge of nama and rupa, mind and matter. And they also do not know cause and effect. So, although the method of worldly jhana is good, one has to understand that each has its own place. So the understanding about jhana, right view of jhana, is called jhana samadeti. And during the practice of jhana, worldly absorption, one is free of the obstacles to concentration, the nivaranas. And when one dies with that jhanic mind, then one goes to the Brahma worlds. In the Brahma worlds, the lifespan is very, very long. And during one's life there's no greed, there's no lobha, and no anger, no dosa. So if one is a patujana, one who is not Arya, then in the Brahma world, there's no anger due to meeting up with something dissatisfying, and there's no craving, tanha, due to anything, any type of pleasurable sense object. So this is a great relief. Sayadaw mentioned the word jhana. Jhana is explained as aramanang jayati, upanijayati di jhanang. The meaning of this is that jhana is something which focuses closely on the object. Aramanang means object. And in Vipassana, the Vipassana object is rupa and nama, cause and effect. So this jhana focuses on the object. There are two kinds of jhana, aramanupani jhana and lekhanupani jhana. That is, jhana which focuses on the single object. That is samatha jhana. And then jhana which focuses on the characteristics, the true nature of mental and physical phenomena, of mind and matter. And this is lekhanupani jhana. So and this is Vipassana jhana. So Vipassana jhana is able to know mind and matter, cause and effect, and so on. So these are the two basic types of jhana or absorption. Aramanupane jhana, which is basically samatha jhana, and Lekhanupane jhana, which is also called Vipassana jhana. So this ordinary samatha is just focusing the mind on a single object. For example, one patavi, one focuses on the earth element as one conceives it in the mind. And following this method, one gets a calm mind, but not knowledge. So this is samatha jhana. When we practice, we observe the mind and body, what arises with effort and aiming, with sati and samadhi. So this too is samatha. But what we observe, what we know, are the characteristics of the mental and physical, the mind and matter, which are really there. We know ultimate reality in terms of its individual characteristics, its individual true nature, and also in terms of its common characteristics of being impermanent, of being suffering, and of lacking an inherent self. The yogis now are practicing Vipassana jhana. So Vipassana jhana knows the true nature, the sabhava of mind and matter, of nama and rupa, and how they are related as cause and effect. So now, when we are observing with the practice, we come to know the true nature of the mental and physical, the mind and matter. And we also come to know its various aspects. We also come to know how these are related as cause and effect. So vipassana means, the word pasana means knowing or seeing, and vi means the various aspects of mental and physical phenomena which are related as cause and effect. So within the so samadeti is the mental factor of right view, and in the moment of practicing vipassana, when there is knowledge, this is vipassana samadeti, the right view that is contained within a moment of vipassana. So this vipassana samadeti is a junction. It is the start of the path that leads to the end of all new life. So going along this path of vipassana, at the end of the path, the knowledge of the noble path, Arya path knowledge, will arise. And the factor of right view that is contained in that moment of path knowledge is Magga Samadeti, the right view of the path. Following path knowledge, there is fruition knowledge, and the mental quality of right view that is contained in that moment of path knowledge is called Phala Samadeti. Following path knowledge, there's reflective knowledge, called Pechavekkhana Jnana, which reflects back on the kilesas that have been uprooted and the ones that still remain. So this is the right view samadeti that is contained in that moment of reflective knowledge is called Pechavekkhana Samadeti. Sayadaw will speak about this further later. Some people in the world don't believe in Kamma and its result. They don't believe in samatha. They don't believe that one can develop the jhanas and then be reborn in the Brahma world. They don't believe in Vipassana, and they don't believe in Nibbana. They believe in the four elements, the four great elements of earth, water, fire, and air. They believe that the four elements make us up. There's hardness, coarseness, softness, all these qualities of the earth element. This is obvious. And then there's cohesion, flowing, and so on, qualities of the water element. Warmth, coolness, heat, lightness, the qualities of the element of temperature or fire. Then stiffness and tension, movement, vibration, the qualities of the air element. So some people accept that these are there. They accept these four elements, these four great elements are really there. But other than that, they don't believe in anything. So beings are made up of the four elements, as one can see. One can see that when one feels one's body, if one feels a bony area, there's hardness. That's the earth element. Softness when one feels a fleshy area. And obviously in the body there's moisture, there's liquids. And there's qualities of heaviness and lightness. There's warm things, there's cold things. So these people accept that there are the basic four elements. And this is something that can be known just with the ordinary mind. So people accept this. But in this belief, they also think that these four elements, although they've come together as a body, they only have life because one eats. They only get life from eating food. And only when, due to drinking liquids, does the mind occur. So without food, the life force goes. Without water, there's no mind. So the body that is there is just like a lump of earth in a way. It's just the four elements that are clumped together. So some people have this type of belief, even in this present day and age. To these people, it seems true. The four elements come together, make a body, and if one eats, then that body lives. If there's no food, the body dies. And if one drinks, then one has a knowing mind. Without drinking, there's no knowing mind. But there still are these four elements. So many people in the world believe like this. Is it true or not? Tomorrow, Sayadaw will go into great detail about this and explain. That's all for today. Sadhu, 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 sadhu.